Brendan Allen takes on Chris Curtis in the main event of UFC Fight Night, and we're here to break down that fight along with every other fight on this card. Welcome. I am Andy. That is Jim. We are two guys that made weight today, and we are happy to be here to break down these fights. We're going to get right into it. Jim, let's break down a fight between two fighters that did not make weight. Apparently, they went out for dinner last night. I mean, they didn't even get fined. They were just like, all right, you two get in the ring and duke it out. And so Melissa Mullins,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Melissa Mullins and Nora Cornolle. Mullins is a huge favorite. Nora Cornolle coming off the crazy win against Jocelyn Edwards. You go back and watch that, and I am convinced that Cornolle did not win that fight. The crowd did, because I just don't see a world in which Jocelyn Edwards won that fight. But the crowd was behind her. She gets the win. I think it's going to be bloody. I think Mullins bleeds really easily when she gets hit in the nose, and I think these two are going to duke it out a little bit. I think it's going to be a sneaky, fun fight. What do you think?
That was exactly what I was going to say. This is the fight nobody wants. And watch it end up being one of the better fights of the night. Does that mean we have to bet on it? Hell no. I don't want any of my money anywhere near this fight. But this could sneakily be a fun way for them to start this low-level fight night right before UFC 300. So I don't have an opinion on a side. I think they're both not that great. This is a stay-away fight if you could ever book a stay-away fight. Add in the weight miss. The agreed weight miss, and now I'm really out. I have no opinion whatsoever on a side in this fight. It's probably going to be bloody. Could it be a bloody decision? Could it be a finish? Yeah, I mean, let's move on to the next. Let's forget this fight even happens and keep our money.
Let's move on. Dylan Budka and Cesar Almeida. So Cesar Almeida, we remember both these guys from Contender Series, and Cesar Almeida technically has a 4-0 MMA record, but this guy has a lot of kickboxing, comes from a kickboxing background. So he really surprised us all when he took out Lucasz Fernando, and he actually kind of won the grappling takedown battle a little bit. And Dylan Budka, through no fault of his own, was involved in maybe the worst fight in Contender Series history. If it wasn't, it was certainly very, very close. I don't know if I have a strong opinion on this fight either. What do you think about Dylan Budka and Cesar Almeida?
Excuse me. I don't like either of these guys. However, this goes back to our PFL video. This goes back to our UFC video of last week. If you look at these two guys, is there one of them that's a specialist? That is a world-class fighter in an area of fighting. It's Cesar Almeida. So as scary as it is to say that he's going up against a wrestler, he's got a size advantage, and he's a decorated Muay Thai champion. Budka's not really decorated, so I don't like the numbers. I don't like the fight, but if I had to pick, I would say Almeida. I mean, we are getting two guys off Contender, so the Contender Series fade of 2024 kind of cancels itself out a little bit here. So we could just get two low-level fighters that aren't world beaters, but Almeida has the ability, if it stays on the feet, to really, I think, dominate in that area. So I would lean towards that, and I think that the striking versus the cage control is going to score him better on the scorecards if it goes the distance. So give me Almeida. No play for me, but as far as the side, give me Almeida.
Yeah, purposes of the video, I'll side with Almeida. That Dylan Budka fight, I went back and started watching it, and it's just funny to be like, he was fighting a guy who was probably coming down off a cocaine bender because his opponent tested positive for cocaine there. Chad Honeycomb just looked absolutely asleep, looked dead to the world. And Dana White was livid, absolutely livid, as he should have been, called him out. So I think there's a 5% chance we see Chad again on Contender Series. Everyone loves a redemption story.
Good old comeback story.
I could totally see him all of a sudden popping back up. Why not? Can't you just see the replays of Dana ripping him and him saying, like, that was the lowest point of my life, and I've gotten back to the gym and got back to my roots, and they bring him on, and they give him a chump, and he wins, and then I could totally
Well,
see
he'll fight the biter from last week. We'll give them both a redemption.
Give them both redemptions, right? I think a 30-pound difference, but that's fine. We'll duke it out, guys. We'll go back to old school UFC.
There you go.
Yeah. Gene Matsumoto, another guy coming off a Contender Series against Dan Argueta. Boy, if you're fading Contender Series guys, this is right in our wheelhouse, Jim. Right in our wheelhouse. We have a guy who's had success in the UFC. He's plus money against a hyped-up Contender Series. Guy's 14-0. Are we fading another Contender Series guy? I can't think of one of them that jumped off my screen this year.
No, Peyton Talbot's really the only guy from Contender that really showed up, but it wasn't his debut. It's a debut.
Yeah.
It scares the hell out of me. The interesting thing is, I've seen a bunch of people say that they like Argueta in this fight. You know, he could cause problems. But I haven't heard anybody picking him, really. So they're all talking about it, but nobody's putting their money where their mouth is as far as Dan Argueta goes. Argueta is the veteran. He's kind of seen it all. I don't think there's anything he really hasn't seen, the ups and the downs. Wasn't a real fan of the face-off. That's what's giving me a little bit of pause. I thought that Dan looked really, really sucked out. Now, I'm sure he'll rehydrate plenty. You know, he's coming in with a shaved head. Did he shave his head to make weight? That's new. Little worried about that. Don't know. Do I think this kid's got skills? I do. I do think he has skills. This fight as a decision is really interesting to me. Like, I could see one way or the other this fight going the distance. I think Argueta is tough enough, and if he stays in the fight and he can implement his game a little bit and get this to the third round, I think that third round's going to be up for grabs. I could see this a classic 1-1. Let's put it that way. Classic 1-1 going into the third, and we end up at a decision. So if you can get the plus 3.5 on Dan, I think that's a good play. Wouldn't mind the money line at plus money either. Haven't bet it yet. Probably going to bet it. I'll probably bet this one.
Yeah.
As long as there's nothing else that jumps off to me as a red flag. But I really like Dan as a fighter.
We talked about this before we started recording. This card just looks like a circus. You got 4 fighters that missed weight. It's a strange card. There's strange matchups. It's the week before UFC 300. Normally we like these kind of strange cards, but I don't know. There's just a lot of fishiness here. I think Argueta's the only way you can bet this. The guy's coming off of 2 no contests in a row. Fought, no contest because of roided up Miles Johns, and then, technically a no contest when he was submitting, Ronnie Lawrence, and he was gonna finish that.
He was working Ronnie Lawrence.
Yeah, he was absolutely working him, and I don't worry about Argueta's cardio, even though he didn't look great at face-offs. I worry about Contender Series guys, especially if Argueta wrestles him for a couple rounds. I don't think Matsumoto's going to respond well to that. I watched Matsumoto go to decision against Contender Series against a guy who was okay. It was a good performance. I think people are, great. What did Michael Bisping say? He looks like a future champion on the broadcast.
Future champion.
Yeah. So I'm not betting on Matsumoto. No way. No way.
I'm not laying chalk on Matsumoto. That I will say. Yeah, that's
it's Argueta or it's nothing in this one. And I think the plus 140 is really, really good. I continually am surprised that people and the lines just keep saying, "Oh, these Contender Series guys are great."
Yeah,
Argueta's a real UFC fighter, man. Listen, he should have been credited with the win against Ronnie Lawrence, and then. What if Miles Johns isn't on the juice? Does Argueta beat him? If so, we don't ever see this fight take place.
Yeah.
Argueta's fighting, somebody else. So
well,
it's
he's probably
Argueta.
got Miles Johns' spot that he had the other week.
Probably.
It's not Johns, it's him. And talk about hungry for a win.
Yes.
If anybody's hungry for a win, it's Dan.
Absolutely.
He
Absolutely.
doesn't want to get one taken away from him.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. This is just a lot of this is a lot of fights that I don't want anything to do with. Here's another one: Victor Hugo and Pedro, be honest, I don't know much about this guy. Okay, he was on the Contender Series in 2021. Goes to draw in boxing, beats Leonardo Morales, and then Victor Hugo. I mean, for a guy that's in the UFC who's fought 28 professional fights, there's just not a lot of film out there on him.
Yeah, it's weird.
He works these really weird leg submissions, and you're going to see him try and get his opponent into some, knee bar, heel hook, leg injury, those kind of things. There's not enough on either one of these guys. I can't make a bet. I can't take it over. I can't take it under. I have nothing in this fight. You?
I have nothing in this fight. What I will say is this is a short notice replacement. Hugo has a very snappy submission game. I think he will be better on the feet as far as being technical. I think if Pedro shoots a sloppy takedown, he's going to be in trouble. If Hugo gets on top of him, he's going to be in trouble. Or if Hugo can snatch a neck up on a sloppy takedown, Pedro's going to be in deep, deep trouble. But these late notice fights aren't as obvious as they used to be. It used to be a short notice replacements, and we'd be all over the guy who was training. Look, this throws both fighters off. You only have a week to prepare for a guy. You've been training for another guy, another style, height, weight, different age, camps, everything. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it to, we talked about how the next month is just busy with MMA. I'd rather save my money for the fights coming up. So no play for me on this. I lean Victor Hugo, and I'll leave it at that.
Love it. I don't know why all these pop-up ads are on Tapology today. This is just my day. This is my Friday. Leave a comment if you've got a good ad blocker that lets us record video without it being choppy to take care of this. Normally, it's not this bad.
It just this speaks to this card. We had a 4.8 earthquake in New Jersey today. It's been a fun day.
Great Friday. The eclipse is already. That's another thing. The eclipse. I'm in the heat. I'm in the teeth of the eclipse coming over. So
stuff's getting weird, guys.
All right, we might be able to get to an actual breakdown of play here. Norma Dumont and Germain de Randamie. De Randamie coming off of almost 4 years of layoff here. She was going to fight, then she got injured. She was going to fight, then she got pregnant. And then you've got Norma Dumont, who's technically 10-2. I would say when you watch her fights, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a very confident 10-2. I watched her struggle at times against Chelsea Chandler. And then you go, well, de Randamie, I mean, this is a elite fighter who's fought the best of the best, but can you trust someone coming off of that big of a layoff? I don't know. I think you've got a pretty good opinion and a strong opinion on this fight. What's your breakdown?
I do. So I bet Germain earlier in the week at a better number because I had a feeling that at face-offs we were going to see a large size advantage. She's coming down in weight class. She was the champion at 145. This is 135. Big Norm over here finally made 135. That's the first time she's ever. I'm shocked.
Can't believe it.
Shocked.
Of all the people that missed weight on this card,
right,
it wasn't Norma Dumont.
Norma Dumont makes weight, and Germain Randamie makes weight at a new weight class after having a baby. But these guys can't get their crap together and make weight. Okay. So, look, Germain is big. She is big. Now, I went down the rabbit hole with Germain Randamie. She's one of my favorite female fighters. I love watching her fight. I loved watching her kickboxing fights. If you go back and watch, the woman's striking is pinpoint. She really needs to put it on Norma. Now, the interesting about going down this rabbit hole is when this woman was 8 months pregnant, she was still hitting mitts.
It's amazing.
She's not one of these ladies that her whole body got pregnant. She just had a belly, and she was still shredded. So I think this is a different kind of a baby theory here. Like, when training is just your lifestyle, this isn't like I'm having a baby, I'm becoming a stay-at-home mom. She's still in the gym. She's still working as a police officer, all this stuff. She looks fantastic. So I put a play in early on Germain. I beat the number. The number's coming down. I think this is going to swing to Norma being plus money come the fight time. It's getting darn close. And at that point, I could hedge out and guarantee myself profits or let it ride. But I think it's Germain, man. I haven't been impressed with Dumont. She's been squeaking by. She's like the Kyle Nelson of the women's division. She's been squeaking by. And at some point, she's going to get got. You know, she's the Lucas Brennan. He got. So I'm going to be on Germain in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea Chandler, Carol Rosa, Daniel Wolf. Those are the last 3 wins.
But again,
for Norma
decision. The more impactful shots are going to come from Randamie. If she can keep it on the feet, I think she runs away with this fight.
I like it. She's probably going to have better cardio than Mowry did last night in PFL coming off the baby theory.
100%.
We
didn't
didn't
even have the
expect.
baby.
I was going to say, Mowry had the baby theory, and he didn't have the baby. so I'm with you. Germain to Randamie has got to be the play. I'll throw caution to the wind. I think the line is telling us a little bit of the story. So, I just don't trust Norma Dumont. I think she eats a lot of shots on the feet, and if she doesn't get a top position, I think it's a long fight for her. So. Court McGee and Alex Morono. I will take this one. I have a very strong opinion on this one. I think Morono smokes Court McGee. I think it's the best parlay piece on the card. Wouldn't be surprised if this fight does not go the distance. So, I mean, looking at Alex Morono here, and it's a guy that lost to Joaquin Buckley. That is a loss that does not look that bad right now because Joaquin Buckley has been looking really, really good. Morono had a couple little moments there. Before that, he does get the choke out against Tim Means. This loss against Pons, I think he took that on like a day and a half notice.
Short, yeah.
It was
really short.
I mean, there's short notice, and then there's what he did. Like he looked like he just came off the couch.
Yeah.
He did not look in shape, and he was winning until he wasn't, and then he got tired in the third, but he was doing good. And then again, you could. I mean, listen, Selmasburger, that win doesn't look great. Mickey Gall, David Sawada, even Donald Cerrone. So not great wins, but Court McGee, our boy Court McGee, has been doing it for a while, and I just think it's caught up to him. It's a guy that lost to Carlos Condit, lost to Sean Brady, Diego Lima. Okay, let's get the win against Claudio Silva. And his big thing was just his durability, man. I mean, you have to go back to 2016 before you find he's finished. But losing his last 2 fights in the first round to Jeremiah Wells and Matt Brown, to me, is a gigantic red flag. He was talking about how he feels great because of his most recent neck surgery. I'm not sure that's a big bragging point. I like Alex Morono on this one. I continue to think he's undervalued. So for me, it's Morono, and I think it might be Morono by finish. If that chin is indeed done from Court McGee, this could be another first-round knockout. Court McGee, legendary story about his addiction and the things he's been through, but you just got to wonder if it's just kind of caught up to him and this is his last hurrah. So what say you?
So Morono, for all his faults, he is a lifelong martial artist. He runs his own gym. He's always in the gym. I really wonder if Court is committed like he used to be. I mean, how could you be? And I don't think that durability. We talked about a play in PFL with Marcelo Gome where he has all the physical tools to win, but the chin is just not there. And we saw it just last night where he dominated 4 minutes of a round, almost had a guy out of there. And the second he took one punch, the look in his eyes just switched, and he was done before the end of the round. I think Court might be done here. And honestly, what more is there for Court McGee to do? If he gets knocked out and finished here, it's time to just call it a wrap. You don't need the extra brain damage. You said, the lifestyle, the body, just at some point says enough is enough. So I think Morono's a really safe play at this point. I feel like he'll be there in the third a little bit more than Court if it gets there. So when you look at it that way, you have Court's durability, which leads to Morono by finish. And I think in the third, Morono will still have enough gas. And he does a really good job playing on the outside. I really question if Court's going to be able to catch him. Court's very slow. Not a fast player.
Yeah. It's Morono. Pretty confident play for me on that one. Trevor Peak and Charlie Campbell. Interesting fight. Jim, I'll let you go first on this one. What do you make of Peak and Charlie Campbell?
So initially, I wanted to bet this fight not to go the distance. And I didn't. Here's why I didn't. Trevor Peek is training out in Colorado with Justin Gaethje and Chepe Mariscal. Two great people to train with. The fact that he's training with the guy who just whooped his ass tells me he wants to get better, right? Good thing. Looks fantastic. Should have better gas. Then they face off. And Campbell's huge compared to him. Huge. And we haven't seen Peek fight anybody that's bigger than him. So we have this, this chin that can't be cracked. Well, listen, at some point, if you're going to fight the way Trevor Peek has, that chin's going to get cracked. Doesn't matter who you are, okay? Unless you're Blagoy Ivanov, you're not getting fit. You're going to get finished, right?
Right.
So I almost want to buck the trend here and take this fight to go the distance. I think Campbell can keep this on the outside and just pick away at Peek. Now, we might see a drastically improved Trevor Peek, but this size difference at face-offs has been enough to keep me off playing an under. So I almost want to chase the plus money and see about this thing going the distance, but I haven't made this as an official play. Skill-wise, I want to see improvements from Peek. I think he still is something and can be something. This is the last fight on his contract, so I expect him to come out and really, push for a win. Charlie Campbell, all he's got to do is not get caught, and he wins this fight. It's literally all he has to do, and that's it. So no play for me. It's going to be a fun fight, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll be laughing at the fight. We'll be oohing and eyeing. Hopefully
Yes.
it brings some excitement. So
There's going to be a lot of those, moments.
Yep.
Like, he caught it. I mean, it's plus money just for over 1.5.
yeah, I
So
think that over 1.5 is a real sneaky spot, man.
Yeah.
If I'm Charlie Campbell, I'm running away from Trevor Peek the first round.
Yeah.
I'll let him swing at air the whole first round.
Yeah.
And then put my jab on him.
Oh, yeah. Campbell's minus 175 at the time of recording this, so kind of tough to find value in there. But yeah, the plus money on the over would be a real good one there. Lucasz, Brzeski, and Valter Walker.
Yuck.
The line is moving in the direction that I agreed with. Valter Walker, I think, is just an absolute complete fraud. Complete fraud. Guy's Johnny Walker's brother. You can't tell me that if he didn't have Johnny Walker as a brother, he'd be getting a fight. I've watched these guys' fights. They're not impressive. There's a lot of guys out there that are better than him. 11-0, okay, fine. Some of these guys that he has fought, Jim, are just really, really bad. Alex Nicholson just quit. And then this picture here, this is a real picture. I've showed this all week.
You have.
This is not Photoshop. This is a real still frame of his fight 2 fights ago. This is him, and this is who they're putting him up against. Like, give me a break.
It looks like Alex Volkanovski fighting him. Like,
Yeah.
It's super tiny.
Yeah, so I don't. He's gonna listen. They gave him a good matchup because he does like to take people down, and Brzeski's your guy. If you're a good wrestler and you can take guys down, listen, this is your guy. He's lost all 3 fights in the UFC. It's really strange, man. That Budai fight, I thought he won. He certainly looked good cardio-wise.
That was a close fight, yeah.
Very close. And then Carl Williams wrestles him to death, and then he gets knocked out by Waldo Cortez Acosta. So I don't know what to make of Brzeski. I just know it's almost like this was tailor-made for both of them. Like, how's Brzeski going to get his first win? Well, you bring over some guy with an overinflated, one from Russia, and it's like, well, how do you get Walker a win? Like, I don't know. Let's find a guy who's gassed out, who can't wrestle. The plus money, I think, value is, for the most part, gone because this thing opened up. Walker opened up close to minus 400.
Which is insanity.
Yeah, I mean, he's still minus 230. So do you have anything to add on this one? This is just what a weird. I couldn't even tell you over under. I could see one of them getting smoked in the first round, or I could see 2 big guys hugging each other for 3 rounds.
That's where I've been looking at this fight all week. I want absolutely zero part of a side in this fight whatsoever. They're 2 not bet on fighters. They're 2 bet against fighters. So when we have fights where we have 2 bet against fighters, where do we look? We look at the total. Are these guys good enough to last 3 rounds? Are they bad enough to where somebody's going to make a inexcusable mistake in the first round? So that tells us our total here. I think if Walker gets on top of Brzeski, he might be able to get him out of there. I think if Walker can't take him down and he gasses, I think Brzeski could get him out of there. I could also see these guys looking just absolutely horrible for 15 minutes. So I haven't been able to pinpoint where I wanted to play this fight. Therefore, it's a stay away from me. I honestly don't have opinion over and under. I am 50-50 on every bet in this fight, which is not good enough odds for me to put my money on it. So,
Yeah.
and listen, in the comments below, if you guys have an opinion on this fight, I would love to hear it. I would.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's make that the fight of the let's make that the comments section. Give us your pick, Brzeski, Valter, Walker.
Total
fight.
and money line. What do you got?
Yeah. Oh, man. Tough one. I'm going to go to you on Ignacio, Bahamondes, and Christos Giagos. I know you got a very strong opinion on this fight.
Yeah, I love Ignacio. He's been my favorite money line play all week. Not only do I love Ignacio, I love betting against Christos Giagos. Absolutely love it. We bet against him last time. Easy money. This is a very similar matchup. Not in fighting style to Zellhuber, but size. Long, lanky fighter. And he just doesn't have the defensive responsibility and the cardio to not get clipped by these guys who have a massive height, reach, and leg length advantage. That's what happens to Giagos. If he can't get inside and make this fight ugly, he is going down right after about the 4-minute, 30-second mark. His gas tank is going to be gone at the end of round one. Even if it's a slow-paced fight, he's proven he has absolutely zero cardio when it comes to out of the first round. I think Bahamondes fighting Ludovic Klein, that was a real shocker, but then we saw how good Ludovic Klein really is. The man has looked absolutely fantastic. All right, physical build has changed, everything. And we even said that in that fight. The second that fight started, we're like, what is up with Klein? He looked physically way improved. So I'm all over Bahamondes. I think Bahamondes finishes him late first, early second round. I could see it being a straight shot right down the pipe, and Giagos just doesn't see it, and it's over. This fight not to go the distance is a fantastic parlay piece. You cover yourself if you think that Giagos can land that bomb, because that's really his win condition, to land that knockout shot in the first round. So I think that's a real safe parlay piece. And yeah, it's my favorite bet on the card is Bahamondes. I'm not overthinking this card. That's my favorite. I'm sticking with that.
Yeah, Giagos, man, he just hits a wall, and it's over.
It's obvious.
You could just watch it, and there's nothing slow about it. It's just like, oh, he's done. Oh, he's exhausted. So, yeah, Bahamondes, should be a really nice rebound spot for him. Morgan Charriere and Chepe Mariscal. Here's another huge line movement. This has been, what is the line right now? Morgan Charriere is only minus 122. Wow. This guy was close to minus.
Plus 105 on Chepe, right?
Yeah. I bet by the time this fight starts, Chepe is the favorite here. So
I agree. I think it's going to flip.
Yeah. I think this kind of gets narrowed down to Chepe's just got more volume. I don't know if it's as measured or as technical. Morgan Charriere just is looking for the, I don't want to say the perfect shot, but he's looking for a great shot. Mm-hmm. He doesn't throw a ton of volume, but when he does, it lands really good. Where do you stand on this fight?
I'm on Chepe. I got on Chepe earlier in the week at a much better number. So kind of the same way with the Randamie. I wanted to have those numbers in my pocket. Not that we're picking fights just based off number, but I like Chepe to win this fight, period. I think that his optics in today's MMA scoring are going to lend him to get the nod in a close split decision. Because the man is tough, he walks forward. His level of competition is heads and tails above Charriere's. I mean, it's not even a close comparison. And we have the young hype going up against a guy who is tough as nails. Again, out in Colorado, training with Justin Gaethje every single day as Gaethje gets ready for Holloway. I firmly believe that fight camp is just cranking right now. Absolutely cranking. How could it not be? Now, if those guys go 0-3 in their fights, we're going to say they're cranking in a wrong direction. But, working with Trevor Peek, again, he's going to be used to the heat coming at him. I just really like this fight for Chepe. I think it's going to look really good for him If Charriere can't get really good damage on him, I think rounds 2 and round 3 are going to be all Chepe. So listen, you might be able to get a great live line as well in this fight. So keep your live lines open. End of round 1. If you can get plus money on Chepe, I wouldn't hate that at all. If he flips to a favorite before a fight, you can get your plus money there.
Yeah. I agree with you with the optics. I'll lean ever so slightly to Charriere. I really liked what I saw in his last couple fights. Listen, I get the no volume and optics aren't great. The guy's finished his last 3 fights. Competition, not great, but 3 finishes are 3 finishes. I know it took him to round 3 at Silva. I thought he was just a little bit too cautious. I think he could have finished that guy pretty quick. And then I really liked that he came out and made no bones about it. He was just going to smoke Zucchini. Zucchini
we knew
sucks.
that one. Yeah.
He sucks. But just being completely honest, the guy's not very good. So Charriere does what he has to do. He smokes him. I think there's something there with Morgan, and I almost compare it to Jarno Aaron's.
Okay.
Where it was like, okay, we saw a little upside. He just needs a camp and a coach to really get him to let loose, and he did against Steven Wynn, and it worked out great. Confident win. I don't want to bet on potential, but I think there's a chance that Morgan really increases the volume. We know he's got great striking. We know he's accurate. We know he's got great fight IQ. He's not going to make a stupid mistake. So I think this fight is going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a chess match. I'll go a little. We'll go a little head to head here. I can't say it's a really super strong opinion, but I like Charriere a little bit, and I'm hoping that I'm right because I think his upside could be really cool to watch. I think if he increases the volume, he could be a really fun fighter because the striking looks really, really good. So should be a fun one. Alexander Hernandez and Damon Jackson. Did Hernandez know the weigh-ins were today? Did he know that, or did he miss it?
We never know with Hernandez what is going on in that big melon on top of his shoulders. He's a head case. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I respect all these guys who are getting into a full contact MMA fight on a monthly basis, but the fact of the matter is that this guy has repeatedly and even stated it that he's always in his own head.
Yeah.
So what is going on? The first sign of trouble with Alex Hernandez, you bail. You bail. I want no part of having money on this guy if I don't know he's locked in 100%. And he's even stated that short notice fights benefit him because it doesn't allow him to get in his own head in training camp. So this isn't a short notice fight. What happens? He comes in way off from weight. I mean, what do you make of this fight? You already know where I stand on this fight. So what do you make on this one?
I think there's no world where I'm laying minus 200 on Alexander Hernandez. He looked great against Jim Miller, and then Bill Algeo just pieced him up. He loses to Billy Q, and now I don't know what to make of the loss to Billy Q. Billy Q looked so terrible in his last fight. Was that because of injury or other things? Yeah. Loses to Moicano, beats Mike Breeden. I don't know what to make of this guy. I do know when he's not focused in, that striking defense is, yikes. I could stand there and hit. It's really, really bad. His face was really busted up against that Algeo fight. But then at the same time, you got Damon. I can't believe this is the co-main. You got Damon Jackson, who's just lost to Billy Q again, lost to Dan Ige. But, Pat Sabatini and Dan Argueta, I think those are pretty good wins. It's a completely dog or pass situation just because you're not laying minus 200 on Alexander Hernandez. And now the missed weight cut, if ever there was this whole card just is stay away. I couldn't get there on an over or under on this one. It's Damon Jackson or it's nothing, but it's nothing for me in this one. And I truly cannot believe that this is the co-main. I'm really, really stunned. I'd rather see Charriere and Chepe be in the co-main, but this is the week before UFC 300. So what are you going to do?
Got to use them up.
Got to use them up. Yeah, get there.
I'm on this fight to not go the distance. I think that we have two damaged fighters. I think we have a damaged fighter mentally, and we have a damaged fighter physically. This weight cut for Damon Jackson has gotten so tough for him over the years, and you could just see it on his face at these weigh-ins. It gets progressively worse. Now, Damon Jackson, when his opponent is tired, he's a real problem if he still has gas. The problem with Damon Jackson is he absorbs damage. What's the problem with Alex Hernandez? Bad gas absorbs damage. So you have two guys with zero head movement and zero defensive striking. I'd like this fight not to go the distance. It's a fantastic parlay piece. You put that with your next best play, and I think you roll with it that you do not lay minus 200. And, dog shot on Jackson, I get it, but I'm not going to be anywhere near a money aside on this fight either.
Yeah, tricky one. Guys, hit the like button. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you like for this card. If there's anything, give us your opinion if you agree or disagree. We had a great night in the PFL. That video was it turned out that video's aged well. We'll just say we did good on that one. So I don't know if this video could age really horribly, or it could be really good, where we tell everyone to stay away from fights that look strange. Now, Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis here. A lot going on in this fight. Jim, where do you want to start in this one?
Where to start? Let's start with Brendan Allen. Because he was supposed to be in this spot already. All right, so we have Brendan Allen. When I say Brendan Allen, what's the first thing that you think of? What's your initial opinion of Brendan Allen?
One to two colossal mistakes every fight. It's just whether the opponent can take advantage of it. But every single fight you're watching, and there's just one or two times where he does something really crazy and dumb, and he's just happened to fight guys that just were not in positions to take care of it. I mean, this is talk about question. Listen, you beat the guys they give you. Paul Craig, Bruno Silva, Andre Mooney, Sam Alba. I can make the case Jacob Malkoun might be the best win out of his win streak.
That's a real good point there, my friend.
It's strange.
That's a real good point. Yep.
Is that what you think of when you think Brendan Allen? Or
yeah, I mean, my handicap with Brendan Allen forever has been that he is as every physical tool you possibly could need. He is a skill set to be a world champion. But from the shoulders up, I have questions every single fight. And I don't think it's something where he purposely makes these mistakes. It's just naturally his fighting style, where he will go to the ground with Paul Craig when that's Paul Craig's only win condition. He'll swing and try to trade with Bruno Silva out the gate and get clipped, and luckily get the submission. He'll try to trade with Chris Curtis and eat about 20 body shots and then get clipped. Bad decision. And again, he's been fed. I honestly, if you rewatch that Malkoun fight, that fight was a lot closer than the unanimous decision says. That fight was a lot closer. And honestly, I wonder if the Malkoun now actually beats Brendan Allen, to be honest with you. I think he very well could. Yeah, that's what I think of with Brendan Allen. It makes me want to bet Chris Curtis. But, drum roll please, Chris Curtis had no plans on fighting. Zero.
Yeah.
His very first thing that he said in his interview today, what have you been up to, Chris? Oh, been not sleeping and changing diapers. They're like, well, it's a quick turnaround. Yep, wasn't planning on fighting. Was planning on spending time with the kids, but I like money. Strike two, right? How many strikes do you guys need? What's interesting about this fight is they're still hanging Curtis as an underdog in a fight where he already knocked somebody out. Again, this card stinks, guys. Something smells fishy in this main event. It just smells fishy. They want that plus money. They want us all to bet the plus money on Chris Curtis, and it might work out. Brendan Allen might make a mistake, but I'm not going anywhere near it. As soon as I heard that interview from Chris Curtis, I am out on this fight. Save your money for next week. UFC 300's right around the corner.
Yeah.
I can't get anywhere in this. Nowhere in this fight.
Obviously, we're more excited about UFC 300 to watch. I actually think betting-wise, it might turn out to be better, even though these really, really hype pay-per-views sometimes end up being terrible to bet on. The last time we saw this situation with Chris Curtis, remember he fought Rodolfo Vieira. This is where he had like 20 stuffs on takedowns. And it's like, man, I'm exhausted. oh man, need some time off. Month later, he's fighting Jack Hermanson. You're like, I thought you needed time off. Nope, love money. And he looked awful, that Jack Hermanson. Jack Hermanson, jab, move around. Curtis was frustrated, getting mad, and it was like, dude, he's beating you. Like, go, like, push the pace, go something. And then he had a ridiculous meltdown on social media, whatever. We all have our moments. God knows I've had more than, one or two. But, we've seen this where he wasn't planning on fighting, and it didn't go well. It was probably the worst he's looked. I mean, Imavov and Gastelum, he was competitive. He had head clash in Imavov, and the head clash in Gastelum, I still think, cost him the fight. So, yeah, if you're just looking at fighting style, Brendan Allen leaves his body open, and Chris Curtis's takedown defense really nullifies what Brendan Allen's path to the submission victory. But then, I had no plans on fighting. Well, that's the first time that we've had to stop and pause the video because of an earthquake. Earthquake number 2 today, Jim.
Second earthquake in New Jersey of the day, guys. So, yeah, I'm not betting anything on this card.
Oh, no.
Sometimes there's signs from the gambling gods, and I'm staying away from this main event.
Yeah, you're like, I think I like Chris Curtis.
Yeah.
All right, Brendan Allen. So,
I'm done.
All right, well,
I'm done. Everybody's okay. Everything's fine, but yeah.
If I'm betting anything on Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis, it's unders. It's just fight, not to go the distance.
See that, yeah.
I could see Curtis popping Allen, and if Curtis is not fully ready, I could see him making some kind of boneheaded mistake and getting caught in something. But the overall theme is just be really careful on this one, guys. Just it's not a great card, but leave us your plays in the comments section. We got a 3-day pass for $49. Use a promo code Andy3 at wagertalk.com. 59 units in 2024. We can help you in a lot of other sports. We got NHL plays, number 1 at Wager Talk in NHL this year. We've got lacrosse plays, number 1 lifetime in that sport. We've got MLB probably this weekend, NBA, definitely got Formula 1. So it should be a good weekend. And grab a 3-day pass. It gets all sports and all percentages. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Jim is going to go check the foundation of his house. We're going to start checking what's going on because I'm in Indianapolis, and the eclipse on Monday is coming like literally right over us.
Yeah, you guys are in the strike zone, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So we got all kinds of weirdness going on, and this UFC card checks all the boxes for a weird one. So, all right, guys, good luck on all your plays. Be safe out there, and we'll see everyone next video.
Take care, guys.